Good morning and welcome to Manifestation Mondays with River City Homebuyers. Um, kind of excited about today's message. The book I have been kind of diving into over the weekend is called The Power of One More, and the author is Ed Mylett. And there are some common themes. If you've read The Compound Effect, Darren Hardy, and Atomic Habits by James Clear, there are some common threads as far as compounding and stacking, habit stacking, compounding your efforts and things like that. But this book really focuses more on your identity. So the author is the narrator. So if you like to listen on Audible, he is narrating it himself. And he really talks deeply and heavily throughout the book about how you have to kind of reinvent your identity, so to speak. Your identity and how you see yourself and what you think is you are capable of doing, your limitations, all of that voice inside of you, that gets formed pretty early in life, like when you're a child. And even if you have a fantastic childhood and don't really have, dysfunctional family issues or trauma or anything like that, there's still a voice. I think we're our own worst critics. So there is that inner voice that, kind of tells us, yeah, I want this, or, oh, I wish I had done, blah, blah, blah. And so what Mylett is talking about is getting out of the habit of, I wish I had, I wish I could, and into the habit of being very intentional in your identity. And he, again, quotes that very famous quote from Confucius that whether someone says they can or someone says they can't, they're correct. And he goes a little deeper with this, much deeper with this, and talks about how you have to speak with intention and you have to be very intentional with your identity, because you can direct the path of your life. You can manifest and will manifest the things that your identity speaks forth. So thoughts and beliefs that are the core of your being, they, what we perceive and believe about ourselves. And one of the early chapters, he asks the question, would you sacrifice who you are for who you could be? Wow, what a great question. Would you sacrifice who you are to have who you could be? And I think that the answer for most people is like, well, of course, if I can be great, you're made and intended for great things. So you have to take charge of the identity that you want. The internal messages, you have to dictate the internal messages that are going to help you take control of your own destiny, of your own fate. People tend to use a lot of excuses about external circumstances and external influences instead of really just kind of firing up their own internal identity, where the real barriers between what you want and what you have now are inside of you. It's not the external forces that are making it happen. Just reading some of my notes from my reading, your brain will work based on what you tell it. So, just like when you're working out at a gym, you tell yourself, I can do one more set, right? It's the power of one more set, one more phone call, one more chapter in the book, one more set of deadlifts at the gym, one more, doing that one more thing, contacting that client one more time. That one more attitude has to become how you operate on a daily basis, that you're never going to settle for just this much, that you're always going to go one more step, push one more effort further to ultimately have what you want. So when you tell your brain you want to attract things, your brain designs intentions and internal messages to feed it the good parts of who you are and to manifest those. So it's almost like when you start thinking about getting a new car and, oh, I really kind of like the new Lexus XP. And maybe until you really thought about that particular car and started thinking about buying one, you maybe never noticed that many of them on the road, but all of a sudden, as soon as you make your mind up that that's the next car you want, pretty soon they're everywhere. Every time you're driving around, you're seeing them drive past. It's like they suddenly just came out in front of you. So identity is not self-confidence, okay? But you do have to have self-confidence and boost your self-confidence to promote and recognize and realize that top best identity of yourself. He also talks about, repeated thoughts. You have to repeat the thoughts that help you visualize your goal and visualize yourself in your intent. Okay, so visualize your intention already coming to pass. So maybe for me, my intention is to bring one of these commercial deals I'm working with to close. And so I have to visualize what that looks like. Think about, okay, we're going to closing with this, and treat the deal and the transaction in the manifestation of it happening, instead of just saying, oh, I wish I could, and sitting back and just waiting for it to happen. And then if my intent and my words and my manifestation are, yes, we're doing this, then I am going to, and my brain is going to start looking for more and more ways, more and more steps to take to make that happen. So the manifestation that you are bringing about is going to start with your intent and with you identifying as, yes, that is happening. No is not an option. Now that in my mind, my brain knows, yes, we are getting this closed. Not getting it closed is not an option. My mind, myself, my identity, my everything is going to constantly be focused on what next step, what extra step, what one more thing do I need to do to make that a reality and to bring that to fruition. So you have to be very intentional and look for opportunities in everything that you do every day that are going to bring you closer and closer and bring that into reality and into fruition. I would love to hear some comments about maybe something that you're going to commit into your identity and be very intentional with until it manifests. I'd also love to hear any thoughts on maybe where this is an aha moment for you, and maybe you understand some self-sabotage that you need to take control over, or whatever it may be. So, being an optimist doesn't guarantee you success, but being a pessimist or just being complacent and sitting back and being like, well, not much I could do, I really wish that would just happen, that guarantees that you won't be. So think about this, digest it a little bit. Please subscribe to our channel, YouTube, River City Home Buyers 904. Have a wonderful day. Have an awesome week.